Dr. McSexy is taking lives and saving lives. Isabel gets egged. And someone is taking over Roswell, New Mexico, named Alex. Stay tuned.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Do I have your attention now is something Alex should be saying, because he certainly got our attention tonight. Welcome to the Roswell After Show. Roswell, New Mexico After Show. That whole New Mexico thing is important. I am your host, Jim Alexander, joined today by my panelists to my left.
I'm Zuri Shalise.
Hello, everyone. It's George Corey.
God, we're missing Tehran today, so it's a little bit different setup, but we got this covered. What did you guys think overall thoughts of tonight's episode? For me, I hated the first part, and I liked the second part. So it was like a tale of two halves. I liked where it was going towards the end. What did you guys think?
I agree. It started off kind of slow, and then it sped up abruptly, and then that sneak peek we got of next season wrapped it all up. Next episode.
Maybe it's next season. You don't know where it's going to this point, yeah.
And you already know I loved it, but my favorite part is that the supernatural is back and it's being explained even further, so I'm enjoying it.
It was a lot going on, as always. Usually there's stuff going on, but we're going to start out where we left off last week. Isabel was institutionalized, right? Hidden away. This week we have my boy making his return. My guy Kyle's back, and he makes an impact right away. He ends up giving the serum, injecting it into Isabel. What did you guys think immediately when you saw that?
I jumped out of my seat.
When I saw it, I immediately thought revenge because she killed his sister.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I didn't see that Alex, I mean, we'll get to Alex, but Kyle doing that, because he's kind of the good doctor in a lot of ways, and here he comes out, bam, injects Isabel with the serum, the death serum, I guess, or whatever serum to take her out. But then we learn quickly that it wasn't his doing. It was Isabel that made him do it.
I'm not all the way convinced, all right? Isabel's an influencer like Bad Girl Riri. Awesome job, writers. I was laughing.
Yeah,
that was great.
That was funny.
I love how you stuck that in there. But, again, I think that Kyle, your boy Kyle,
my boy,
Dr. McSexy would have done it anyway.
You do? I don't think he would have. Just when he went back to explain why he was saving her in the end, because he's a doctor, a compassionate guy. When you walk through the doors, what you've done before this is no more.
I agree with Zuri, because he did say that at the end. So he told a story about how he was supposed to save a mass shooter, I believe, when he was doing his thing in Idaho. But I don't think, even though we learned that he found out that Isabel did kill Rosa, but I don't think Kyle would have gone that far. I just don't think it's in him. As a doctor, there's still something very prestigious about him being a doctor, and I think that's one thing that he holds close to his heart, and really, I guess it's the only thing that's real to him is his job in so many ways. I don't think he would have done that if Isabel has been kind of asking for it, and we thought that she kind of went off of that. She's been wanting to be taken away and just rid of herself, and then when she kind of pulls that mind trick, makes Kyle do it, I'm not surprised.
I can respect both of your theories, or it's the same theory. I can respect that theory from the other side of the table.
That's right.
But what I'm saying is, when he was talking to Liz and he's like, Rosa was she was my friend. Mm-hmm. There was this look in Kyle's eyes, and we know Kyle's a man of conviction. When he sets his mind to something, he gets it done. And I saw a killer in those eyes.
He did stop. I mean, that was a noticeable moment.
That was a killer moment.
It was. I think that he's still processing. Like, this is my sister. My dad lied about it. So I think it's still warm.
Still warm.
Yeah.
Lukewarm.
I still think when it comes to it, he wouldn't have done it. But the impact that this caused ripple effects throughout this episode, because then we see that Isabel's near death pretty much after that. She can't just magically get cured. Even we see Max trying to revive her. Everyone's trying to revive her in that way, but she's in bad shape after this. So Liz cooked up something really potent here.
She actually, through her downfall, or downfalling, she brought everybody together. So that was a silver lining in it all. I saw everybody in the room jiving. Husband of the year became husband of the year again. I'm not going to let you down. punching mirrors for her.
He was, yeah.
You
angry
know,
son.
mom's coming around. Everyone's just coming together around Isabel. It's sad that it takes someone to die to bring people together.
Right.
But I'm glad that we see everybody who had their little side drama and beef for once kind of working together in the midst of this alien-human separation going on.
I was a little thrown off when she finally said, "I want to live," after this whole thing of
Yeah.
like, "I'm dangerous.
All she put
I
him
don't
through.
trust me." And then she goes, "I want to live."
You know what my theory on that is? She loves Max so much that when Max was basically saying he was going to die without her, because it was right after that little monologue
He was
that
just
he
like
had,
breaking down. at
or
that point.
soliloquy or whatever it was.
Something like that.
She like rose from the dead and she's like, "I want to live." And I was thinking, you're doing this for him.
Yeah.
You're doing that's real love. You know.
I believed it. I believed it. I'm usually not sold on things Mac does. Max, whatever. We can call him Mac tonight because he really stepped up in a lot of ways. But yeah, that was a real moment. I believed that when she because she was like mentally dying off, not only her body, but I think her spirit was dying off. And when he confessed his love and she basically finally did what he's been doing for her, is kind of like he made her his object of inspiration and just hope in his life. And I think that was her recognizing that real moment and really knowing that she needs to be there for him.
Yes, but did we also see a glimpse of another real moment before like the medicine started kicking, or what was it, the antidote started kicking in, serum? She had a moment with Noah and she was like chuckling and they were about to kiss, and that's before she broke down and coughed blood. But and great acting on Isabel's part, but it looked like she was youthful and alive and just happy to be human for a second.
Yeah.
She was almost relieved and then she crumbled again.
And Max.
Yeah, Max. Same thing.
Let's go with Mac.
Max felt her dying before she knew she was dying. Mm-hmm. I thought that was really
the coldness.
intense. Yeah,
They have that thing together. It's almost like this unspoken bond in a lot of ways. You know, that they feel each other's pain.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty evident.
We saw in Max's conversation with his mother, I felt like you and Isabel basically growing up always knew what each other were thinking even before they were talking.
And speaking of the mom, we see the mother finally.
Hi,
She makes her
Mom.
appearance. There's a mom in there. I thought it was
Hi, Mom.
Isabel playing the mother figure, but we saw their actual mother that took care of him, that kind of adopted him, right? What did you guys think of her?
I think she has something that she's not sharing. Like the way she got set off when Max wouldn't tell about Isabel what's happening. Like she immediately, he's like, "No, you can't see," and then she just has the breakdown. And I know it may have been triggering that, all their childhood, he really took care of her, but I feel like there's just something that she knows that she's not sharing. Even when they were talking about the language, like she's like, "I don't know, you guys one day were observing us and then you just knew what we were saying." Like, I just need a little more.
Yeah, Zuri, come with that energy because I agree with you because moms know everything. What doesn't a mother know?
True.
Mothers have instinct. And I liked her up to the point where she was like, and that weird kid in the corner drawing those symbols. Oh, he needs special help. You know what? I went to an adoption for puppies and I took the weirdest dog in there.
There you go, George.
You can
Doing
check
a
the
good
gram
thing.
and see my weird dog. And I still love my weird dog. He has his flaws. He doesn't stop moving. He jumps around. But I still took, and then for me, I'm psychoanalyzing mom. Oh, you took the two okay, happy kids.
Yeah.
What about the crazy one, who I'm assuming is Michael?
It would be. I just felt there's a lot of hurt in her because, like, she mentioned to him that she's always kind of been on the outside. Like, she couldn't get to that relationship part that Isabel and Max had between each other. Like, she was never let into it. And I think that's probably eating her up inside and bothering her why they didn't let her in. And she doesn't understand the closeness that they have in the relationship they have.
Brilliant, Jim. We're seeing parallelism
Yeah.
between the mom and Noah.
That's
Isabel's
right.
husband who feels isolated for not being an alien.
Anyone that's not Max, she does not offer that thing that she has between her and Max. And like even the closest people to her would be her mother and her husband.
She's
They
just like a
don't get to
wall
see
up.
that side. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's like I don't think there's anyone out there besides Max that she has that care and that will ever show that side.
I agree there. Although I hope that Max and Liz could share that type of bond together. I think
Forget
that
about it.
bond is exclusive to Isabel and Max.
We always ship people together. Well, I'm shipping this out. This package is going. It's like the message in a
Sailing
bottle
away.
going into the ocean. It
Is
ain't
that
coming
like-
back.
So you're sailing people. You're sailing them
We're
away.
sailing away. But we're sailing in people, right, George? Tell us
Yes, we
about.
are. So before we move on to our next topic, we just wanted to say thank you for making us the ESPN of TV Talk. For us to continue to grow, we could use your help. If you're on YouTube right now, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. And if you're on iTunes, please give us a 5-star rating. That's right, all 5 stars. And no matter where you are, leave us a comment so you could get involved in the conversation. I've been seeing the comments. A lot of people are liking Zuri. That's cool. Welcome aboard. And being part of AfterBuzz has meant so much to all of us. And we truly appreciate you supporting us and doing what we love. Don't forget to tell your friends, to tell their friends, and keep enjoying our shows.
And tell their enemies too, and your enemies. Bring everyone along, and make sure to comment. We do read your comments, and we love the theories that you guys have. I see a lot of paragraphs of like different theories and
No,
concepts.
y'all are brilliant. Y'all see stuff I
everyone-
would never see.
Yeah, it gives us insight to really what other alternatives there are.
Y'all
so.
are the aliens, just admit it.
Probably. We'll get to that later. But yeah, let's go back to Noah for a second here, because we see a kind of a different side again. You saw that mirror thing where you saw an angry side of him. And I think we're going to get a lot more of Noah next episode too.
Yes.
What did you think about that whole thing about, he's there for Isabel, they have a connection, but then it kind of goes another way, and then when she goes into the egg, he doesn't know where she's at.
Let me just say something real quick, okay? If I was Noah and a doctor who looked as good as Mr. Big
That
Sexy
was a-
Kyle told me leave the room.
right.
Oh, I ain't leaving you in the room with that doctor. Oh, I'm staying right there, and I'm practicing my rights to stay right there. Because it just felt like, and especially when Isabel tried to remove his shirt, my God, that's
There was a
so
little tension
intimidating.
there for sure.
That's intimidating for a doctor that good looking be alone in the room with your wife. So I can understand his frustration right now.
I feel like when they were having their heart-to-heart moment, when she felt like she was finally cured, she said things have always been a little strange between us. I feel like Noah's always on it, and that time I feel like he slipped up. I feel like he should have said, what's been off? Like, why has it been off? What is the issue? 'Cause I feel like she kind of hinted to him right there that
Yeah,
we
there's a
can't
little
be
bit of
normal.
truth finally, like her admitting that, but yet there's still so many walls in between. So it's like, hey, I'll give you a little bit, I'll give you a little giveaway here, an Easter egg, but then can't go all the way.
So Zuri, was that like almost like a man up moment?
absolutely he should have said, what do you mean? Why not? Like, when did this start happening? How do we get past it?
You would want to know, because he's fighting for this marriage in a lot of ways. He almost gave up at some point completely. Then he comes back, and now he wants to know the answers. And she once again doesn't give him what he wants.
Jeez, that must be
But
frustrating.
then she went and said goodbye to him before she went in the egg. So I wonder what I would have liked to see that conversation.
Some more.
I think
depth
we're
there.
getting some more stuff next week. I think this is the setup for next week. We saw Noah's going to have a pivotal part here. So his character is growing every week. I think we see more and more of him. It just seems there's a evolution of Noah in some way. Speaking of evolution of things, well, there's two different things I'm actually thinking about, but Michael and Liz are really together for the first time in long sequences and working together for the
Yes.
first time I've ever seen on this show.
Yes.
They're kind of butting heads in the beginning, but then they suddenly decide that two genius or smart heads are better together to create an antidote. What did you guys think of that whole situation and them coming together?
It was a little different because this is the first time we see him not really angry.
In
He's been
some
pretty
way, yeah.
angry most of the season. So I was like, wow, this is a different side. And then he is on top of where'd they come out of? Like, how he has the secret layer at the bottom. So I was thinking back when they wanted to sell that part of the land and they were telling him to move.
Oh, that's why he
being
was so
evicted.
protective.
That's
over
how he
it.
was so protective. And I
Good
was like,
point.
yeah, they can't take that.
No.
Which, by the way, on the camera crew's end, super cool shot when they were looking down in the.
That was a
all
really
the
cool
cameras.
shot.
Oh, that was brilliant.
Shout out to
so
that, yep.
cinematic. I loved it. I thought it was interesting pairing between the two. On one hand, you have Michael who's trying to save his sister, and then on the other hand, you have Liz who's trying to avenge the death of her sister. So it was a very unlikely pairing, but unlikely doesn't mean bad. I thought it was really cool, and as a viewer, I like seeing those two ends of the spectrum come together and try and find a solution.
I think the big takeaway was how smart Michael is. I mean, we had hints of it and throughout, we kind of knew that, but we got to finally see it. Like, the capabilities that he has, you know, and Liz kind of bringing it to the surface, you know, like, hey, you are kind of the genius here and you're not mentioning it. You're kind of hiding that in a lot of ways. And it almost gave an opportunity to open up to that side of him.
Yeah, it was a cool reveal. I thought he was just helping Maria with the light sign. But in fact, Liz notices this guy's reconstructing the spaceship.
That's right.
One person building a whole spaceship, that's impressive.
I would have liked to see him offer to save his sister a little sooner with like the plasma from the egg. I feel like Liz kind of had to like coerce him into saving her.
Yeah, good point. Why wasn't he a little more eager to be like, hey, I got it. Like, let's go.
I'm willing to at least try.
Yeah, why did she have to drag it out of him?
I think it's just the thing he doesn't trust Liz still. I mean, there's that kind of butting of the heads
He
earlier
did
on.
say that.
Yeah, he did actually mention that he didn't trust her because of all the things that had happened. And the reveals happened there too about obviously Max leaving town. We heard that Max left town. Max would have left town with Liz, but Liz left town. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on there because of Isabel's powers to chase her away in that sense. So we find out for the first time, and Liz really finds out that she was forced out of town and she didn't leave by will the first time around.
Right. And, you know, I'm starting to recall what was happening earlier before they were in their little lab. He had a bone to pick with Liz, saying, you're basically trying to make my species extinct. You built this, like, chemical. What do they call it again? The serum? You built this serum to destroy me. And then he has a line, how would you like it if I made you less Mexican?
That was powerful.
And that made me realize, like, yo, Michael's really proud to be an alien, low-key.
Yeah.
It's not just about protecting secrets and not, like, being chastised by everyone, and more about I'm proud where I come from, to the point where his home is fixated on top of this pot and he ain't moving. They want him to move. He's standing his ground and he's staying alien all the way.
And he showed us that when she said, I want to be less weird. And he's like, so you think we're weird? And I was like, oh.
Yeah. No, he was standing up for his alien friends and compadres. And we never saw it. I thought they were always kind of sort of ashamed of being different and being alien. I never saw the pride, at least from Michael. Even Michael. Max, definitely. Isabel, we don't know, I guess. Who knows what she controls.
I agree with you. Seeing how Isabel was when she lost her powers temporarily, she seemed so much happier. And Michael, once again, proves to be the soul of the crew. He's a bad guy. He's an oddball out. But at the end of the day, he has so much integrity.
He's he kind of is preserving their race and culture, right? I mean, by trying to build the ship and having this whole underground world that he's working and discovering, I think he's the guy that's really actually doing something about it. Unlike Max and Isabel, who are just kind of floating along in their everyday life. I think he's got another mission in a lot of ways. And I think that seeing that finally, it gave us a different perspective on it.
100%.
I think Max and Isabel are blinded by their emotions. Like, I feel like he's the only one outside of the army guy that he's in love with. He's not tied to anyone.
Cam.
He's not tied to anyone, and he hasn't shown that he has a full-time job. So it seems like his whole ordeal is being an alien, and everyone else is just trying to live
He's always
life.
been an outsider. He's always been an outsider.
And you know what? More parallelism, and we'll get into it, but you see him standing his ground and being proud to be an alien. And we saw his lover being proud to be something else later in the episode. So
that's right.
You know, I like the writing. What impressive writing.
I like it. You're
episode.
right. You are catching a lot of parallels, and there's so many. And we're seeing there's a theme, and there's a lot of things revolving on the outside that different characters have the same issues. You know, it's almost like a bubble outside of certain characters.
Yeah.
And the other ones are outside of the bubble, and the ones inside just can't burst through it.
Very true.
Like Max and Isabel.
Hey, they're working on it.
The biggest takeaway from this episode, the biggest storyline, I thought, wasn't even the Isabel stuff. It was Alex and his dad, Sergeant Maine. Whoa. This brother, man, I'm telling you, Alex blew me away. I didn't see this coming.
G.
That is a savage move that he did tonight.
Yeah, dude.
Did you see that he had this in him?
Even when he like knocked him down with his crutch, I was right there. I was like, oh my gosh, this
Yo.
is getting real.
And not only that, it was like the conversation. It's one thing to like punch someone and do aggressive move, but to sit there and intellectually break them down and torture them. Wow, I didn't see that in Alex.
Me neither.
But now it all makes sense because he's a soldier. He went overseas, and yeah, that's in him. That's in him.
Sound like he had a lot of animosity built up too from not wanting to go to the army at all.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought we saw so much. We knew Alex was tough in a way by him going to war and kind of trying to always fight for his identity. But today we saw a badass streak in him. Like, we saw Alex just straight, like you said, a G version. Like, he stood up to Maine, who I don't know anyone stood up to him like this. You know, and this is a guy, his father, who constantly put him down, made him feel unwanted, you know, second tier. Even that whole thing about Kyle. There's a little interaction there about Kyle. What did you guys think
Yeah.
about that little tidbit?
The tidbit at Kyle was an interesting one. You see a comparison again. On one hand, you have
Seems to be a lot of these comparisons between them two.
You know, you have his son, and you have Alex saying to his father that basically you think I'm weak because I'm gay, and then even says at one point he says to his father, he says, "You're the flaw." He said, "I'm a hacker,
That was
and we're
strong.
trained to find the flaw, and you are the flaw." And it made me think, wow, he grew up with his father saying that you were flawed because you're gay. But in actuality, I'm strong and I'm proud to be gay. And you are the flaw, is what he was telling his father. And, you know, the comparisons with Kyle and the Valentis and wanting to know more, I think Kyle was referred to use to Maine's, you know, to answer your question, basically to allude to his relationship with his father and what was going on there and why was Kyle favored? So that made me see it again, built up animosity, as Zuri said, and almost a resentment for his father having these friendships and high regards with other people, not his own son. But here he is, his old son, dad, all along. I'm more powerful than you could ever be. And like sends him out of the country or something.
Oh, man.
And dares him to come back.
There's levels to this. I mean, not only does he call him out, he throws it all in his face. He pulls up and does that crazy. I mean, he just literally outsmarted him in so many ways.
Yeah.
And then gave him an ultimatum. I mean, just like 1, 2, 3 knockout, you know?
Gangster.
That was just so strong. I thought that was the strongest we've seen Alex in so many ways. I really, really like what they did with him tonight. Like, this is a guy now that has a lot of power in a lot of ways because he's a good guy. I think we can trust Alex, right?
I think we can.
The same way I feel like I could trust Michael. And
I think he's earned that over the last few episodes.
And then there's no wonder why these two people who I'm calling the integrity or the soul or the cornerstone of the show is Alex and Michael, and they're together. And I think these are the same similar qualities that bring them together is their integrity.
They really do have integrity. And now when we think about these relationships that have come and gone, this one is two very strong individuals, but they're also very much grew up and kind of always went around their life being outsiders too. But now we've seen over the last few episodes with Michael and today especially with Alex, the strength that these guys have inside. It's just, it really surprised me. And I'm glad to see that these characters who we early on didn't think much of or, you know, didn't know where it was going. Remember the first couple episodes, they were just always like hooking up basically, and that's all it would end. Every episode would end the first couple episodes with them hooking up, and that was it. But now we've seen, I think the character growth on those two guys has been by far the largest of anyone else.
I couldn't agree
Agreed.
more.
I strongly agree.
Wow, laid it on there.
There you go, Jim.
Liz and Max. Once again, we have that story back and forth, but are you still sold on this romance and stuff? Because every week it's dying
so
out.
here's my thing. I don't lose hope. Okay, I've lost hope before, but not all the way. So I've lost some hope, but I never lose all hope. And when Michael was talking to Liz and saying that Max wanted to tell you sooner, you were driven out of town by Isabel, I could almost see Liz's face lighting up and almost wanting to be with Max again. And I'm so confused, y'all, in the end where she says, I saw two oceans. You and
What?
I were not meant to be together. Can you give me your feedback on that? What was happening there?
I feel like she has issues with control because even when he said we drove you out of here, she said no, I left myself, and then she comes back and says thank you for driving me out. So it's like, so which one was it? Did you just
Good
want to
catch.
like own it?
Yeah.
And then she like blatantly cuts Max off, but it's just like, what brought you to this conclusion? Sounds like I think she just wants power. But I don't blame her though because a lot's going on that she can't control.
She's been like the most kind of lost character, I feel, and especially like we're seeing kind of the version of Michael and Alex who are growing, and we're seeing so much more from her. With Liz, she's kind of fading away in a lot of ways because it's just so much confusion surrounding her. Like there's still the Rosa talk, and I'm back to being bored with it, and just like, okay, it's kind of it really didn't factor in this episode. I felt the first episode they mentioned Rosa, but it wasn't a central selling point, right?
Yeah, as they dig, what's interesting about Rosa, she stays alive, and I got to give it to the writers on this too, because the reason why she stays alive is she's had relationships with many different people on the show, so it just doesn't stop at being Liz's sister. She has a connection to Kyle in a clever way, with them. Is it asserted now that they're brother and sister? Yeah. Right? So they're brother and sister. She's connected to Kyle. So Kyle has it out now. He has a vested interest. Liz has a vested interest for obvious reasons. The sister. Isabel has a vested interest. Her former friend who she was obsessed with. Yeah. So the reason we used to question why is Rosa keep coming up? Why is it so relevant? Now we're seeing why. And her connections to people and her death is basically, there's a cause and an effect. And we're seeing the effect of it is everybody kind of cracking down and finding out more about the aliens now, because if this never happened to Rosa, they'd be kind of hanging under the radar. But this allows this to surface, and it allows the conflict between alien and human, and also now the coming together, which I'm seeing of alien and human.
I think we're seeing like a yo-yo situation with Liz. It seems like every time she's almost pushed over the cliff, something happens to bring her back in. Like this time it's being invested in saving Isabel because she cares so much about Max. It's like every time I feel like it's almost, even when she was ready to go back to wherever she came from because she felt like she solved her sister's death, something else drew her back in. So I feel like that's...
Zuri, do you think it's Max? Her love for Max?
Oh, God.
I'm just asking.
I know.
Zuri.
Fair
Okay,
point.
I'm just asking.
Fair question.
I think that she kind of has this like humanitarian sense about her, to want to like save people. So I don't know if it's necessarily Max, but I feel like she's growing a compassion. Like the doctor said, like saving the person who you knew was the killer. Like I think she kind of feels indebted to her science and like just wanting to help people in general.
I think that science is starting to come around a lot more in her character. Do you think we're slowly moving away from the Rosa storyline? Is that slowly fading away and turning into... I feel like this was the first episode we kind of saw that in the background.
Yeah, and like I said, we needed the depth of the Rosa story and the connections to bring us to this point. Now it's more about aliens, and I felt like this is the fun stuff of the show. I see everything getting more exciting from here, even with Isabel going back into egg and stuff like that. So we're gonna find out more and more.
Yeah, it seems like it's turning into Protect the Aliens now.
I feel we're finally getting to aliens. This is the thing we're being set up. Maybe the Rosa storyline was just kind of a setup to this eventually.
Yes.
To get us all through it, get us along the way, and get us to this point. I'm starting to think that could be a possibility. We'll see next week about it, though. There's something to keep in mind, though.
Yeah.
Now, we're not done with Maria and Michael. We see them again now, 2 episodes in a row. They have a sort of interaction. Do you guys see this going now anywhere? Or we're going to see more of this expected, or just something for the heck of it?
For some reason, I was nervous that Alex was going to walk in and they were going to be like having a moment, and then it was just going to be over from there.
But did Max at some point observe it and say something to Michael, and he was like, "Oh, never."
She said nothing hasn't happened. Not that I don't.
Hasn't happened.
Not interested.
There seemed to be a tension in the room, quite honestly, and the fact that he rebuilt the sign, which was most precious to Maria's mom, they're kind of vibing right now, and there could be something going on there. But I do believe that his love for Max will supersede whatever's happening.
So that's strong. I think it's been more established, at least to this point. So it's something more legitimized on the show, at least. We got to get to this egg thing. What the hell was going on there with this? It was I didn't know the name of the song, My Genesis or something. We need to find that out. Anyone out there in the chat, let us know if you know this. That was like some weird erotic something going on with Liz and Isabel, like smearing that silver, I guess, like liquid silver. It was bizarre. And the music in the background, it's just like, am I watching something rated R here about to happen? What was that?
It might have been bizarre to you, Jim, but it was deep and meaningful to me. You know why? Because
I've seen things like that.
here's a silver lining. Liz was saving Isabel in the same exact spot that Isabel killed Liz's sister Rosa. It was a resurrection right there.
The spots were,
You know, the dichotomy there of, oh my gosh, this is where you killed my sister, but nah, Max, now I'm going to save your sister in the same spot where she killed mine. And if we are questioning Liz and her intention, that was pretty deep. It was a little more than being a scientist. And it makes me feel like there is an underlying love for Max there. And that's why she wants to save Isabel so badly.
For Max.
Or in a way, is she coming to terms? We hear her say to Max, it's harder to get over someone or losing someone when you're angry at them. Was that her completely finally letting go of her anger for her loss of her sister and saying, I am going to be the healing now?
I absolutely. I think it was.
Really? I think it's too quick to say. I think maybe she had a change of heart that moment because of the stakes that Isabel could die potentially here and she needed everyone's help. I wouldn't completely say that's been solved or, you know, there's no bad feelings there in that sense. But it was just a...
Jim, would you not want someone to rub you down in silver?
Hey, listen, that was kind of cool in a lot of ways, too. So it was weird, erotic for some reason, and with the music and...
It's the sensual rubbing.
It was just very, like, I didn't expect this on the show. So it threw me, and everyone's watching, too.
Yeah.
And she undresses her, too. And the crazy thing was, like, Max looks away, turns around, and Michael's still staring, right?
Oh, yeah, he was peeping.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was intimate and sensual and erotic and weird. It was all at one, I think. It was just, I didn't expect this scene. And then she goes into this egg. She gets egged, literally.
The special effects were so cool.
They were cool.
When
They
she
were very
went into the
sci-fi.
egg, yeah. Oh, it was awesome.
But then we see the symbol.
Mm-hmm.
You guys see the symbol?
I missed the symbol. Where was the symbol?
It was really quick. Like as soon as we saw her face in the egg, the symbol popped up and then it faded. But I want to say, I think it was when Max put his hand on the egg.
Might have been.
I think
Yeah,
it was
but
when
there
Max
was
put his hand on the egg.
I can't do it anymore. What is the symbol? I need to know what the symbol is.
We were seeing it, but we don't know the full. I think that's going to be coming along the way still.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Isabel disappears into his... It was kind of like X-Men-like in a lot of ways for me. It's like very... I don't know, like superhero-like in some ways how she goes into it and like how does she get... I'm curious, like how does this treat her or get her better? You know, it's like, for me, it's like almost she stepped into a different universe or different world.
Right.
And it's like, how do you just pull her back in?
And the biggest fear when she was entering the egg for Michael and Max was that she can lose her memories. And Liz is saying, oh, you could talk to her about it and bring her back up to speed. But again, another parallel, she didn't belong in that room locked up in jail. I felt like although the egg is isolating, it's her essence. It's where
she comes from,
where she was birthed. And it might be what's best for her at this point.
I think I'm just more concerned on how to get her out because
Yeah,
they don't know
I'm
how they
wondering
got.
that too.
Oh,
Like,
that's right.
They don't know how they got out.
That's right, because they don't recall how they got out, and
Like
is this?
plasma won't pull her out as it was.
Yeah.
put her in.
What do you like? Who puts their hand in there, or like
Oh my
what is it? Like,
gosh.
what is that material? Is it silver or is it like some sort? We don't know what it is even made of completely.
Do you know what I think it is? I think it's that La Mer cream at Sephora that I see that's so. And I'll be.
Hey, it might be glow. It's glowing.
I
Whatever it
haven't
is.
bought a bottle because it's so expensive. I scoop up the samples and it looks like that. It says it was developed by NASA. It's this rejuvenating
Really?
substance.
It's
That's
like
what they said.
$2,000 moisturizer.
Because
The biggest jar.
Yeah.
The biggest jar is 2,000.
Yeah,
Forget about
exactly.
it, man. I'll just
And-
use like plain old.
But back to Roswell.
Yeah, back to that.
what Liz was saying, she said this is rejuvenating. And that's why she went into the egg. It has this rejuvenating property, and that's why they were in this pod for 50 years and didn't age, right? Mm-hmm. So we're hoping that maybe she'll get to a stable point. She won't, which is kind of weird. So what if she doesn't age in there and she's stuck in there for 3 years and everyone else ages and she doesn't? It's this time lapse.
What if she
Benjamin Button-like?
What if
Yeah.
she digresses? That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, we don't know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be interesting to see because next episode you see Noah's on the lookout. This man doesn't know where his wife is. He's thinking she's somewhere around or been kidnapped or another disappearance by
What
her.
about Noah?
But he's gonna. I think this. Well, we'll get to the prediction actually in a second. Before, last but not least, my girl. Okay, Cam. I'm on board with Cam. I've been on board with Cam. She's the Kyle version for me. So her and Sergeant Maine. So Sergeant Maine's about to be deployed. Got rid
out
of.
of there.
Cam is that saving grace for him in some ways.
Yes.
She might be doing his dirty work, or else her sister faces max security. Oh. Yeah. Not Max. Well, no pun intended. Not max security.
Oh,
but, yeah.
good one, Jim.
What do you guys think? I mean, that was a moment where Maine is gone, but not gone really.
Maine is just like a bad weed that keeps growing and extending.
Yeah.
We got this harmony with everyone and everything. Everyone's finally working together and cool. And now he had to plant this seed into Cam, and she's going to disrupt the harmony that's happening.
Well, I think he said to keep an eye out, but then if something does happen and she doesn't share, then her sister can go back to
it's
maximum
like
security.
a blackmail.
Sounds like she should turn her blind eye and just.
That's an interesting thing. I think
Yeah.
Cam takes over now. She gets the baton, and we'll see what happens. I think we'll see Maine kind of go away, but Cam's got it going on for now.
Another parallel, someone trying to save their sister again.
Yeah, right. There's always
Max
saving.
trying to save the sister, Liz trying to save the sister's legacy, and now we have Cam trying to save her sister from max security.
Well, you know what? What if we could save? What about our special segment today? Music, maybe? Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Thank
like that
you,
one.
Steph.
I like that one.
2 minutes later, we're out of time. No, we're not. Special segment today. What if you guys had superpowers? Which one would you want to have?
I would want to have the ability to know what people are thinking about me, because I'm always wondering, and I'm too shy to ask.
I, an LA native, need to be able to fly. I'm done with this traffic.
Yeah, rise
Yes,
above.
I've had this traffic my whole entire life. I'm over it.
That's a good one.
I think the flying is a pretty good one. But for me, being invisible, George, because I could get around to the places and find out what people are saying without no one seeing me. And just getting around, and and you can just do anything being invisible in so many ways.
Two birds with one stone. I like
Yeah,
it.
I'm not invisible right now. You can see me, and you can see our predictions, right? Because I've been waiting for those. That's right.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Predictions. George, you have a prediction.
I believe that Noah is going to say, he's going to find out that Isabel's in the egg. And he's going to be like, you know what? We couldn't be together in this realm, so I'm going to live in the egg with you. So he's going to take
man,
the
that's an
silver
ultimate
bat,
cop-out.
He's going to jump in the egg, and he's going to know what it feels like to be an alien. Alex is just going to get super gangster. I'm waiting for him to shoot someone. I think
It's
Alex,
coming, possibly.
he's going to shoot someone in another episode. And I do believe that we're going to find out who the fourth alien is based on the previews to end the show. And it's going to be Maria's mom. I think I figured it out, yo.
So I was going to say, I think we're going to get a lot more of Maria's mom, and it's not going to be a complete curveball. I also predict that we're going to find out what the sign is about. Mom's going to tell us about the sign.
Oh, good. Yeah, we need to know about the sign.
I hope.
One sign we saw at the end of this episode, my girl Cam. I think she's taking over for Maine. She's going to cause disruption. She's going to do some bad things in this town. And it might come down to her versus Alex,
Alex, and
for
Alex
like
is-
control
yeah.
of Roswell. We'll see that, and definitely a fourth alien is upon us.
Definitely.
So much more to find out. We'll be back next week, but before we leave, where can people find you guys?
On Instagram and Twitter at Zuri Shalise, ZuriChellece.
Great. And find me at Mr. George Corey. Tehran's not here to spell the last name. Khouri.
I was gonna do it.
Oh, you're
but,
going to do it. My new best friend.
Yeah, there you go. But you got it covered. You can find me on all social media at TheJimAlexander, RealTalker.com, and I'm on like 1,000 shows on AfterBuzz, so check those out. Until next week, boy, there's more coming at Roswell. We'll be here to talk about it. We'll be breaking it down. Crazy things are happening. Aliens are upon us. See you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.